Hello world, it's Goji04 with you once again. Hope you guys are doing well. Today, I've got another unboxing for you. The Ichibansho Godzilla figure from Godzilla vs. Kong. Well, they call it a figure, but I think it's more like a big old statue. We're gonna unbox this so-called figure, and I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on it and how it would compare to the other kind of Godzilla figures you can get for Godzilla vs. Kong and whether it's worth buying. All that in this video, so check it out.
Surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind. A gigantic beast, cavalcade of electrifying horror.
The first thing I want to point out is the box itself. Comes in like this with this nice handle, and you've got this nice artwork on the front, like two shots of Godzilla. This shot here is more or less, but this is roughly the size of the figure itself. And then this is more of a close-up shot. And then on the sides you have this shot of Godzilla here. You've got some more shots of Godzilla on the sides, and then on the back, different shots of Godzilla. They kept it pretty simple. It's a black box with pictures of the figure, which is nice. It's a nice aesthetic. However, on the top, they did kind of stick to the Godzilla vs. Kong branding that they've been using on all the, like, especially the Playmates toy lines, using that famous banner artwork. Here they actually have the orange and blue from the movie, so that kind of spices it up. I like the box art, actually. I think the box is quite well made, especially because you don't see the statue, so they had to make it interesting. You don't have like the see-through plastic to see the figure, so they came up with an interesting way to make it look really cool. And I like it. I think it makes it look really high quality, and it makes it look like something that would be on the same kind of quality as an SH Monster Arch or an X Plus. So I really like the box art. And they do a really good job of making this look like a really nice figure. Like, some of these pictures are super nice. So your expectations are a little high when it comes to the figure itself. But aside from the artwork, it's pretty standard. It's just a big square cardboard box. And then opening it, it seems to be well protected for the figure itself. I actually had this ordered by mail. I definitely feel like the figure is well protected. Figure is taken out. He actually comes with this whole wrapping of plastic that was inside the box, but inside of that he's also kind of protected in his own wrapping. So again, like I said, the figure feels really well protected, and it seems to be pretty heavy, so I don't think he's like very fragile or anything. So like I said, for those of you worried about this maybe getting broken if you get it shipped in the mail, I wouldn't worry too much about it. But yeah, this shell should just kind of come off. And so then you'll have Godzilla in this plastic, which doesn't even seem to have him fully wrapped. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. So now that we have him out of the plastic shelling, the first thing I must mention is kind of the weight. Is he heavy or not, right? I heard another reviewer say that he has a bit of weight to him. And I guess depending on your expectations of this figure, I'd say yes, he is a bit weighty, but he also does feel quite light, lighter than I almost expected. He's definitely a bit more front heavy, so like here he feels like he has more weight than his tail, obviously. I mean, he's not gonna tip over. That's nothing you should worry about. But it's definitely a hard plastic, right? But it's not something like some really heavy resin statue that you have a hard time. Like, I can pick this guy up fairly easily, no problem. He has a bit of weight to him. Don't throw this at somebody, I'll tell you that, you could hurt them. Moving on to my thoughts on this statue slash figure. The sculpt, obviously that's a big part of this figure, right? And the sculpt is one of the things I must praise. It was the reason I got this figure from what I saw in the pictures, and I have to say, in person, I think it more or less matches my expectations. The sculpt is very well done. The dorsal fin's spines stand out immediately, as they did in the pictures. In real life, they look really good. You know, they're actually softer than I expected. However, I would still say this is probably a risk to children. This is not a kid's toy. So if you have little ones, and be very careful to let them play with this, because they could maybe hurt themselves with this. So watch out. This is not for little kids. This is not even really a toy. I think the box itself even says This is not meant for anyone under 15. So be very careful with this. But in terms of the sculpt, the spines are super well done. The detail on every single one, I mean, they capture the weird, almost alien-like texture of them. I've come to realize how much I like the legendary Godzilla dorsal fins, because here you can see the design so well. The rest of the figure as well. The legs are so well done. The feet, the claws on the feet look really good. The arms, they capture almost all the scales. So they really capture a really strong chest on Godzilla. The tail is also really well done, all the different sections. And as well, also it's a bit of a soft plastic here on the tail, more than I expected. And each section is really well done. So the tail is well made. My one gripe about the sculpt, and this is also another reviewer said, is the section where the jaw meets the head. It's a bit obvious, the line there. So it does kind of stand out. When you look directly at the jaw, it does kind of stand out, that line connecting the jaw and the head. As well, also, I think I noticed this kind of line connecting the head to the neck. As well, you can kind of see a bit of a line there. Overall, the quality of the sculpt on the rest of the figure is so well done. I can't really let that bring down the figure too much, especially the dorsal fins, the arms, the tail, and the pose as well. Speaking about the pose, not just the detail of the sculpt, but the pose they chose is really nice. It's a very, I guess, aggressive or defensive pose. I'm not sure if he's attacking, but it's very well made. I definitely think that the sculpt is standout on this figure. Matches mostly what you see in the pictures, mostly. And what I would have loved to have seen is a way to switch out the dorsal fins and put in maybe a blue translucent version, so we could get kind of like when he's about to shoot his blast. And I only know that there's going to be one more alternate version of this figure statue where he's in his burning Godzilla. I mean, that would be super cool if you could just pop these out, put in new ones that are blue. I think that would super up the value of this figure for sure. So after looking at the sculpt, let's take a look at the paint job. Now, one of the reasons I actually was drawn to getting this figure was I saw in the pictures, I really liked the paint job because they gave him more varied color. I felt, in my opinion, like the Playmates figures had given Godzilla too much of just a generic blue hue, and then the Bandai SH Monster Arts gave him more of a charcoal black, or even the Bandai Movie Monster just kind of a black gray. And I felt like it was very much one color or another. But in Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla's, well, I guess it depends on the lighting, but they give him more color, right? He has more of a brownish, dark brown color, and also it can vary depending on the location he's in. He's not just like a generic charcoal gray. And the paint job here really brought that out. A broad stroke of different colors on Godzilla. The paint job does a very good job of highlighting the details. You can see all the scales, you can see the different colors in the dorsal fins and in the tail. It's like different highlighted colors of browns and gray and yellow that make Godzilla's skin feel real, like it feels textured, exactly as it does in the film. And to be fair, I think it does a much better job of portraying more accurately Godzilla's skin and texture than Playmates or Bandai Movie, even the SH Monster Arts, I think. I would say my one big drawback about the paint job, I think so far, is the in the head. Again, that seems to be a weaker point on this figure, but I don't love the paint job near his teeth. It does look a little sloppy, to be fair. It looks a little bit better on this side than the other side, and I get it, that's such a small detail on the teeth, really, on the upper teeth. The bottom teeth are actually okay, but overall I definitely think the paint job, like the sculpt job on the rest of this figure, is quite well done. As this figure is really kind of more of a statue, in my opinion, there comes the question of the posability, and I think this kind of seals the deal in terms of it being more of a statue, because there is no posability. I only make a brief note of it though, because I wouldn't have minded if they even gave him the smallest amount of posability, like nothing fantastic. This doesn't need to be an SH Monster Arts figure, but I think really if they made his arms posable, or, you know, just made his arms move up and down, maybe his mouth open and close, I think, and maybe his tail twist and turn just a little bit, I think would really help the value of this figure, even just a little bit. I almost consider this figure to be kind of like those Popo dinosaur figures, if you ever had one of those, where they were more like statues with some posability, but the quality of those figures were really nice. They didn't have a ton of posability. Sometimes they only just open and close their mouth. But it's just a shame that he doesn't have any posability whatsoever. In terms of scaling, as mentioned, this is a 20 centimeter figure. I'm not sure where they count that from, but apparently that's what they mentioned as. If you want some kind of reference, again, at least this is the figures I have. He's actually about a little bit taller, and I think bigger than my Godzilla Tokyo SOS Bandai Movie Monster figure from 2003. Back in the day, Bandai used to make like 9-inch movie monster figures, which they don't really do anymore, which is kind of a shame. He's a good size figure. Definitely, from people who I have seen, he is a lot bigger than the SH Monster Arts. And in fact, for reference, against the SH Monster Arts Melting Godzilla, he is definitely double the size. He won't scale very well with your 6-inch figures, but with your 9-inch figures, he might do okay. Then compared to my Mega Playmate Kong, he is still way too small. Maybe if we throw in also, I don't know, Mechagodzilla, because why not, just for fun. And here's my Kiru from, if you can't tell, I'm a big fan of Tokyo SOS and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. He scales really well against Mechagodzilla actually. He'll match really well with your Bandai 9-inch figures if you have any of those or any 9-inch figures. For what you get for this figure, it's quite a good sized figure. It's not something the size of an SH Monster Arts. And I think the X Plus figures are technically bigger, but for what you get, he's a pretty good sized figure here. So my final thoughts on this figure. I think as I mentioned with the sculpt and the paint job, they're almost immaculate except for some slight issues on the head. But otherwise, I think the quality of the figure is really well done. It's a shame there's no posability because I think just even a little bit of posability would really enhance the value of this figure. And is it worth getting? Now that's something depends on what you're looking for. Now, at least when I bought this figure was in the 70-ish, 75 US dollar. I'll say this, the SH Monster Arts Godzilla figures are roughly in the same range. But imagine this figure is like twice the size of it. And I personally think the paint job and the sculpt is better, but obviously the SH Monster Arts have more posability. It really depends on what you want and what you're more interested in. However, I will say also compared to X Plus and other figures, this figure is much cheaper than those figures, but still has a great amount of quality and it's a good size. If this was posable, even just a little bit, and if this was a light up version, I would say it's definitely worth it. But I think it's a fair value. I definitely think either 70 or maybe 75 US dollars. Maybe the Burning Godzilla version is worth it if you really want that version of it. I don't love what I've seen of it, like in terms of the paint job. That's it for my review of the Ichibansho Godzilla figure from Godzilla vs. Kong. Figure or statue, whatever you want to call it. If you've gotten your hands on this figure, let me know your thoughts on it below. I'd love to hear what you all think. And that's it for this video. If you like this video, please like it, share it with your friends, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!